We have a few days until week 4 Houston. This will probably be our last big recorded session between weeks. I do want to say that I think you guys have really done a good job of working on this, meeting together, communicating, even though it feels like we struggled a bit at that first event. Um, we've done a whole lot more than other teams that I've worked with in the past, so you guys should be pretty happy with what you've done so far. Um, but let's just dive into the details. Somebody wants to keep keep it in for us. Showed up.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, agenda. So we'll go over the schedule. I want to talk a little bit about the other events, just so everyone's aware of the dates coming up, pool details, actually build schedule goals and individual goals. I think we're done. I think what we're going to talk also about is what I call sub-team overview, do a strategy guide, and then we're going to do a to-do list for the day, and then we're going to get back to work. Any other big items?
I do want to share a link. It has the like first in Texas like rank
Yeah,
or
let's wait. Let's wait
oh,
till
okay,
so
cool.
maybe I'll just add it in. We'll talk about rankings. It's a good state because I think so schedule wise, one should know that the event starts on Thursday night after school, straight to the event. One of the last it's a different direction this time. It's North Houston near 45, which is and it's going to go late, so 4 p.m. to how late did we go last time? Almost like 10 p.m. So be prepared for that. Talk to your friends about it too. And Friday is going to be the longest day for sure. 8 to 8 East. Might even go later. So be prepared. And then Saturday, I want to say that we should prepare to stay a little bit later on Saturday. So if we are called for an award, you know, even if our robots out and we're all packed up, we want to have some people for the awards. Hopefully we're in it. So Lamar and Westside, I know have field trip forms for Friday because it's a school day. And then I would imagine there's going to be something. I don't know if it's going to be Tuesday between the schools, but we need to start looking for motors and any sort of things to replace on our robot or something. So let's kind of search through Lamar and Westside and make sure we have those pieces ready to go. We really didn't have we'll get into a list and make sure. Carnegie, everyone, but worried that they don't have a field trip set up, so I'm gonna message Cheryl about that. They usually figure it out. So I'm not that worried, but check. And they need to just make everyone aware, even if a lot of people can bring you the Friday, I want to make sure it's really tradition. Other events we have, we obviously have Houston this weekend. I haven't even talked about this, but it's called the Innovation Spark Fest in Sugarland, and this is going to have a combat event April 1st. I want us to compete in this, so maybe put it on your calendar. It's a Saturday. Uh, I think it's good for us to go. We might even bring the FRC robot, to be honest. If I have to put it in my car, maybe I'll just bring it. But this should be a fun event, just to kind of see. Probably an actual combat robot competition. Just see how it goes. And then state championship for Texas is the following weekend, April 6th to 8th. So we are going to present the EI. I don't know exactly what day. I do plan to try to go there. I know some trips have been pulled out of that, so we will try to make an attendance there. I just don't know how long to present. And if we qualify, then we can get so we'll find out, discuss qualification later. And then World Championship is April 19th to 22nd. Uh, Even if we don't qualify, attend on Saturday. It's a really cool event. If you've never been, it's free. Um, it might not be in Houston for much longer. This might be the last go of well, there's probably one more year, but it's a very short window. And once it leaves Houston, then we won't get to go see it very often. And then I know we have some groups going to Vex Worlds in Dallas on the end of April. So sub teams. So programming, driver practice, autonomous, software limits. I think there's some more discussion that we need to have here, but we won't get into all the details. There's still a lot of programming that we could learn from and do. Mechanical stuff, I wanted to just briefly mention that we should think more about the ground intake, whether we need to put hard stops, whether we want to do limit switches for the arms. There's probably some more stuff that we need to think about to have a backup plan if stuff breaks. I don't think the ground intake is really thoroughly tested, so we probably should think about what else needs to be done on it. And then lots of backup parts. I know that every bot intake is on its last leg. We saw some smoke coming out of it, so we need to have a backup motor, backup Spark Maxes, Neos, Navex if we have it somewhere. I know Torque kind of gave us theirs. But anyway, we'll get into that. This is kind of a whole separate discussion that we probably need to have outside of this meeting, is a list of backup parts. Any other kind of overview things before I hand it off to the other people that I need to put on this list?
I wanted to ask, is the robot coming back to Lamar? And is it like tomorrow or Tuesday or when?
Good question. So let's look at the schedule. Thursday is loaded. So if we bring it back to Lamar on Monday or Tuesday, we would have to load it back on Wednesday. So it would be like a 1 day sort of load back to the school, maybe do some testing, and then load right back out by Wednesday. So I don't think it makes sense for us to do all that at this point, because Lamar's kind of hard to load in and out of. So that's just my thoughts. If somebody wants to talk about it, we can get into it more, but that's kind of what I'm thinking about.
I do have a question about that. I think it would still be valuable for us to meet somewhere, because there's definitely stuff that needs to be worked on mechanically and program wise. Like both of the motors on the intake, on both of the intakes, the 775s are making absolutely horrendous noises now. Like it hurts me every time we run them. So like I think we would probably want to change those out before the event and see what's going on, so that we don't start the event with like a questionable motor. And then also like autonomous testing, just to get some more of those auto routines kind of planned out before the event starts.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind if we set up something. I think we could probably do that at my house if we really need to. So let's maybe set aside Monday, possibly. Yeah, definitely Mondays at the schools for you guys to go look at parts, make a list, make sure everyone knows what needs to be going on. So you're at your respective schools, Lamar or Westside, and you're getting things ready for the whole team so they're aware of what's happening. And then if we want to do something Wednesday at my place, we could maybe pull the robot out in the garage and replace some stuff and test some stuff out, and then load it back in to go out on Thursday, possibly.
That sounds like it'd be nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll work it out. I just need to have a few people to commit to that. So, that could be an idea. I think it's a lot simpler than trying to move the robot around to different locations.
Yeah, there's one other thing. We had, I think, the little disco logos, at least little disco balls, and I've got them because we unloaded them, so I could bring them to Lamar just to have people glue them and get ready for the competition.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we didn't really do much with pit buttons or anything, so that might be a good thing to think about too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe we'll plan for something on Wednesday that we'll get together right before the event, just to check everything out. But we do need to look at the schools for all the parts, so let's make sure we have an idea of what we're looking for, and people, post an update of what they found so far. Lamar obviously has most of our stuff that we probably want, so it might be a mentor or two going on Tuesday to go look for stuff and make sure we have enough backups. Does anyone remember what happened to our shelves that we had from the off-season events? I feel like we had some shelves that I don't know what happened to.
I was going to ask you that. I assumed you had them.
I don't remember seeing them. I think
There were some shelves in your kind of attic at your house,
in
your
the
garage.
roof of your garage, but those might be different. I'm not sure.
okay, look around. Probably not something I need to figure out anyway. So, Greg, do you want to share and talk about strategy real quick?
Sure. Let's see. Present tab. Okay. This is our strategy guide. Me and my brother wrote this. I think we wrote most of it over spring break, and Adrian added to it yesterday, it looks like. So yeah, this is a strategy guide we've been working on. It mainly goes over like what each person should do during a match. So like the main strategy, some ideas with the strategy. It doesn't really go over like what the driver should do specifically, mostly because I wasn't aware if the robot was able to move until a few days ago. So I haven't gotten that written yet, but most of the strategy stuff has been written. The main ideas probably is the different roles for the driver and the different people in the drive team. So there's a dynamic that happens with the coach and the driver, where the driver will tend to tunnel vision onto a singular goal during a match. So for example, the driver will try and get a very specific game piece on one side of the match. And a lot of the time, the driver will try and move the robot, but they won't be able to look at the rest of the field while they're doing that. So in my opinion, it's the coach's responsibility to like stop the driver from doing that and make him do like a different task, for example. So yeah, that's kind of the big idea of it.
Yeah, I think this is good. Everyone, we need to share this so everyone can start reading it, and feel free to suggest edits or add whatever you guys want. I want to make this simple enough that anybody who's on the drive team has read this, knows the rules, and we can start rotating people throughout this event so everyone gets a chance to do something. We have a pretty small team, but I think a lot of people can rotate in and out. The biggest constraint, I think, is we need people that can lift the robot. So as long as we have somebody that's strong enough to lift the robot up this group, with like Carl or one of the adults, then I think that would be okay. Now, obviously, someone who knows how to drive a robot is very important at this point, and so a lot of the programmers can do up to it. But we'll talk about roles, and if you definitely want to be on this team, let me know, and I can maybe put together a rough roster with Carl who's ready to do this. Kind of a more organized list of drive team members that we could have a rotation going throughout the event. The other thing that I want to point out about this that I probably need to get into a really basic strategy for each match that we're going to do. But if you haven't watched a lot of the matches, I encourage you to do it on like Blue Alliance and see kind of some strategies. But one thing that I took away is if we're in kind of just a average alliance, a standard, match, we want to always kind of coordinate getting all three robots together at the end and trying to just get on the ramp. That last 30 seconds for like every match should be dedicated to getting all the robots together and getting on the ramp. It sounds pretty basic, but you'd be surprised how many matches they don't do that. Especially in these low-scoring matches, it pretty much swings the match every time. So let's make sure we make that nice and prominent in our guide of like, here's what we're always aiming for in terms of timing. Somebody needs to keep track of the timing and announce to the whole alliance, please get set up. And the best way, if Greg's got this diagram here, the charging station middle, where all the robots are lined up right in front of where the drivers are, and they all line up together and they just drive forward all together at the same time. And if the whole alliance is aware of what they want to do before this match starts, it should be pretty easy if you've watched a lot of videos of everyone just doing it, if everybody's dimensions, match up okay. But that's a real simple thing to see working well for a lot of teams.
One thing I will say is this event's going to have like a bunch of really good teams, and they're all going to be scoring, I think, like all of them. So it's going to be a interesting event in terms of strategy.
I know, but I think we need to come up with a basic standard strategy for every match. Now, obviously, if we're with like a powerhouse team, like we've already seen Robotics and some other teams, they're going to tell us, here's their strategy, and we're going to mostly just follow what they want us to do. And so there's going to be a lot of matches where we're kind of just being told what to do, and that's fine too. But we should always plan to get on the station and balance if we can. So anyway, we'll get into more subtle details. Everyone should read this and comment, and we'll make sure everyone's ready to go for the drive team. Sid, do you want to jump to your presentation?
Yeah, it's kind of just a simple list. Not as fancy as Craig's document, but it's just kind of a to-do list, mechanical. So currently the hard stop is just a little bit too long, and so the arm over centers itself when you extend all the way out. So it needs to be hard stopped a little further in. We don't really need to hard stop the intake based on what I've seen, because if we do ever end up driving the intake into the hard stop, the intake's gone, like completely gone for the rest of the match, and it's just going to stay like that even if we hard stop it. So I think a hard stop would just make things harder for programming and driving as well. The intake is like really scuffed right now. Like we were fixing stuff at Texas Torque, like stuff was popping out, bearings are missing. It's a whole mess. And I think that's something that we should get a couple people to look at on Wednesday. And then, like I said, and like you noted, the intake motors are starting to release some magic smoke. So get as many of those ready for backups, because they're going to be needed at some time during the event. In terms of electrical, I think there's a bunch of stuff that we can do. The Robo Rio power cable is kind of concerning me, because at Torque we had a mystery reboot, which happened when we hit a bump, and I think it was a Robo Rio restart or a radio restart. I'm pretty sure it was a Robo Rio restart, because the radios on the radio power module and the time it took to reboot seemed really indicative of a Robo Rio restart. All the Andersons need to be zip tied together so they don't come apart during the match. That's an issue with the intake Neos. And just all the Spark Maxes should be zip tied together so they don't pop out. There's some CAN wires in between the battery placement and the cross bracing. and those will probably get crushed if someone's going fast and switching out a battery. So we just have to move that, and that all comes back to fix the rat's nest in the middle of the robot. Just kind of put things in better spots because some stuff is floating right now, and if something does go wrong in competition, it'll just make our lives that much harder trying to figure out which wire goes where. And then I guess the last kind of thing to do is wire the network switch in Orange Pi. I know that Les and Adrian and all were working on that.
Yeah. Actually, I got a. It's kind of like basically two USB ports that we can use for the power on both of them. Just takes 12 volts in, so we can maybe skip the DRM and just use this.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like got 30 watts, so it should be plenty of power.
Okay. Also, we have a camera on the robot now, and it's currently mounted by just like 3 zip ties and a little bit of Vex chain. So I think finding a better mount for that, whether that's just super glued on there or what it is, I don't know. We just have to figure something out for that. And then for programming, draft autonomous routines, even if they aren't like completely ready, I think we can test them on Thursday night at the event and tune them up because there shouldn't be anyone on the field, and there should be a practice area that we can use. So that's my spiel.
Andy, Belair was at the Torque, and basically we gave away some stages for the Versaplanetary, and really we don't have much at all. Like we didn't even have any ring gears in our Versaplanetary box, so we're really low on Versa stuff. And I don't know if we want to switch to Neos instead of 775 Pros, but that may be an option on the intakes.
Okay, noted. I do need to order more stuff. Does anybody know off the top of their head what ground intake gears we have?
60 and 24. That's for the ground intake. And then I know that we had a bunch of the stages at Westside, like just the gears, like the 5-to-1 ratios. And I think we have a couple of the outer rings, but I don't know exactly what the Versa, like how many complete Versa sets we have or output shafts we have. That's something
we definitely have a lot of the bigger gears. So like the 24 and the 60 tooth gear, I think we definitely have several of those at Westside. I can assure you that.
Yeah, I think even at Lamar, we also have some of those gears. I think they're in a box at the front of the room or something. But we didn't have them with us.
Yeah, let's make a list. Sit on your to-do list with what we're looking for.
Okay.
And most schools can go and make a list of I'm just gonna order some stuff tonight. And we'll watch and get it.
Yeah.
Backup. So if there's something else, I've got sets, ring gears that we need. I probably just have 775 dollars.
Did we need the Anderson clip or did we find new ones?
I think we found a box of those, but
We found the box?
Yeah.
Andy had given us some. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got
Just
some
need to
too.
order more because we seem to always be out of those.
Yeah. So I've got at least 20 of them. So in the bigger ones. So.
Is the Lego inline kitchen Peterson's next year. So.
Yeah, definitely. We got a little bit to get started, but yeah.
Oh, I also got a couple of Wagos. I got a little box from West Coast Product from the Catathon, and I think there were some wire nuts and inline Wagos in there, so I'll bring those when I come.
I think we're gonna wrap up our normal meeting group and then maybe just switch into the impact stuff. Does anybody else have any last things to say?
I saw a nice cheat sheet, so I don't know that maybe can be put in Greg's list or something. Just the one page. Well, it's just the scoring, and all in one page.
Oh, nice.